So, having established the significance and the impacts of debt in human civilization, I think we can say that debt-based contract is something that has impacts in our daily life as well. And when we are looking at the operations of Islamic finance today, we can see that they involve both debt-based contract and equity-based contracts. And there are also notions that equity-based contract is more Islamic than debt-based contracts. So, in your own view, what do you see that whether this claim is true or not?
Well, probably if you asked me this question 10 years ago when I started working at ISRA, I would have probably said, yeah, well, it sounds to me like equity-based risk sharing, that's the essence that differentiates Islamic finance from conventional. Over the years, I've come around to the idea that debt-based contracts are just as Islamic as equity. And, you know, there's a fairy tale that we tell ourselves in Islamic finance that what makes us different is risk sharing. And I think that is a kind of a fairy tale because when you look statistically and empirically at what kind of contracts are actually being used, is overwhelmingly debt-based.
Debt-based, yeah.
So I think the key difference is can this debt increase? The thing that Allah said about debt is Allah has made trade, sales lawful, and He's made riba unlawful.
Yeah.
So that was in the context of people who said, wait a minute, you guys are saying that it's okay, you Muslims are saying it's okay to have a markup on a deferred payment sale. How is that different from somebody marking up later when the debt comes due? So Allah said there's a difference. So having the markup at the beginning is permissible, but having this open-ended thing where it keeps increasing over time is impermissible. So I think that debt-based contracts are permissible, and you can't do without them. One of the things, actually, I recently read a thesis, PhD thesis of somebody in the Islamic finance fraternity. He made this point that what banks do is provide financing, and the way that it's priced, conventional banks have spent a whole lot of time figuring out how to price financing, and it's based on risk. So the more risk that a bank takes, the higher they're going to charge for the financing. Equity contracts are inherently riskier for the bank. So if you want equity-based financing in Islamic finance, then the customer will end up having to pay more for that. Customers don't want to pay more for that. They want to pay the minimum. So they're willing to accept more risk in order to get a cheaper locked-in price.
So in short, the debt-based contract also is Islamic.
Yeah.
So meaning that equity contract is not more Islamic than debt-based contract. So meaning the most important thing is that we have to ensure whether it is equity-based contract or debt-based contract, the Sharia requirement must be fulfilled. Coming to another perspective, when we look at debts and the money in the modern economy, so it seems that there's some relationship between debts. Can you give us just a brief information?
Well, if everybody paid off their debts, there would be no money in the economy. The capitalist system, which is bank-based, in theory, governments can create money, and they do to a certain extent, but before the 2008 crisis, roughly 97% of money circulating in the economy was created by banks giving loans to customers. So when that loan is paid off, the money disappears, it retires. And new money would have to be created by new loans being extended. So after the crisis, there were so many debts that didn't get paid that the actual amount of money in the economy decreased. And so central banks stepped in and started creating money on a scale that they'd never done in the past. So there was a massive uptick in central bank created money. But the normal state of affairs in capitalist economies has been that money is inextricable from debt.
From that, okay.
Don't forget to keep watching. We'll have more installments from this series, Inside Islamic Finance, posted from time to time on the iFikr website.